All right, mic check, mic check, mic check. Mic is on. Let me know if you could hear. Anybody is hearing me? Screen is shared. Mr. Blue here, TradePhantoms.com. And hold on, the chat is on. Why the chat is not on? Why? Why is that the case? I'm assuming y'all can hear. I guess I'm gonna have to talk to myself at least for today. I don't know if that's good or bad. I did not set this one up. Mr. Black set this one up. I don't know if he changed the settings on this, but anyways, I'm just gonna keep going. I'm just gonna go, baby. Titles. All right, screw it. I'm not wasting another minute. I would have to maybe redo the whole thing, which I'm not going to do right now. So, seems like the mic is on my end. For whatever reason, the chat is off, and it's telling me to update it here, and it won't let me do it with the toggle. So, I don't know, maybe because I already started live? Not sure. Nonetheless, if y'all can't hear, I'm just going to rip it. Let's go. I'll just talk to myself. I'm assuming y'all are on the other end here. Mr. Blue, Trade Phantoms here. Tuesday, the 24th of 2026. And I will be your guide and your host for about an hour, hour and a half. I'll take you through some pre-market prep and take us to the open. And if there is a setup, I will execute that said setup, as you will see. So I'll start this off here really quickly with, today being Tuesday, is there any planned economic news here on the board for today on deck? And we do have 9:45 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We do have flash manufacturing, services, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We also have Richmond Manufacturing Index, and I guess those could provide some kind of movement, volatility potentially at this potential time. And that's going to be 15 and 30 minutes after the market opens. So definitely just want to put an alert on that, or just understand that that is coming out in the event that we have some open positions. And of course, there's going to be what's going on in the backdrop of the world. So there's always going to be some news coming out, give or take on that. So just making sure we're trading safe. Markets are holding resilient though so far for the moment. We'll get to the charts right now. But before I do that, let me just put some things into perspective here. Let's get the SPX here. I bring the stock. Excuse me. Hold on. All right, got the SPX chart You got a weekly time frame here on the left. I got a daily time frame here on the right. I just bring this up to bring this document up, which I bring up essentially every single trading session, no matter what. Institutional demand and supply is, how markets work, and is the main strategy and backdrop of Phantoms. Emphasis on top-down multiple time frame analysis approach. So you're going to see three major colors on my chart: orange, yellow, blue. Orange color code is going to be associated with the monthly time frame. Okay, so anything that you do see in orange is monthly time frame. The team in the team last week on Friday planned a nice bullish trade on Friday, late Friday, below these November's lows, okay, on the S&P 500, NASDAQ, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Kind of planned it mainly more in the S&P, and it was a really good trade. Ended up being a really good trade. So hopefully, all Phantoms members, if you did take advantage of that, I'll discuss that a little bit later as well. You took advantage of that, took some profit. I'm still in some of those trades there. The point that I'm trying to make right now is that whole setup was based on the November low sweep that we had last Friday. Okay, so orange. One of my favorite time frames on the planet, or the favorite time frame on the planet for myself here, is going to be that monthly time frame. Weekly time frame is going to get a color code of yellow. So last week's high, last week's low, highlighted in yellow. If you see any VWAPs there, anchored, if it's in yellow, it's a weekly time frame association. We got daily color code is going to be blue. Yesterday's high, yesterday's low. We had a gap up yesterday, right? It had a nice little rally, but then kind of paused a little bit there and closes a doji bar there, leaving yesterday's low, yesterday's high there, and of course that's highlighted in that color code blue. We got a bunch of candlesticks, fancy names. Yes, great, but context and location is going to be more important. So preferably, we're going to be looking for these bullish candlestick prints at demand levels in the context or structures of uptrends. Same thing for the downside, going to be bearish, right? So context, location, more important, okay, than the fancy names, preferably at supply levels, okay, in the context of downtrends, lower low, low highs. We also have, we also have a quick little recommendation. You want to get headphones. Okay, sometimes bad words do get said in these live trading sessions here and there, so you might want to control your environment with some headphones there. We have 5 fundamental truths of trading the zone. Anything can happen at any moment, anytime. You don't need to know what's going to happen next in order to make money. Random distribution between wins and losses for any given set of variables that define an edge. Edge is nothing more than an indication of a higher probability of one thing happening over another. Every market in the moment is unique. That's Mark Douglas, Trading the Zone. It's a must-read, pick-up book if you're serious about this business. And last but certainly not least, we have this thing called the liquidity map here. 2 actions, buys and sells, creates demand and supply. However, we also have to understand, going kind of under the hood, if you will, how we can have an accumulation order, being a buyer to enter, and then now you are a willing market participant as a seller at some point to exit, whether that be a profit or a loss. That's a distribution order. However, you can also sell short to enter, which would be bearish, which is an accumulation order of a bearish entry or trade. Now you are a market participant as a willing market buyer, okay, to cover, to exit, whether that be a profit or a loss. Of course, if you sell short, you want the market to go down. So if that market does indeed go down, you buy to cover to exit to realize your gain. If you're on the wrong side of it and you sell short the market and it's starting to go back up, okay, and it maybe potentially drop, hitting your stop loss or breaking your level of supply or whatever your thesis or your trading edge setup is in. If it's getting violated, you'd have to get out and you'd exit as a loss if it's going against you, as you should be doing. Okay, we don't hold on to losers with the hope that it comes back. We cut those losers. Okay, if we go to the next setup and ride the next setup, if it's going to continue. So that's discussed in a lot more detail. Definitely way more detail than what we have time for right now, being only 35 minutes before the market opens. So with that said, let's continue here, and I'm going to hit over into the major 4 indexes here. And if you did come late a little bit here to the stream, for whatever reason, I'm not sure, the chat's deactivated. That's not on purpose, I don't think. Mr. Black set up this one here with these settings, so I'm not sure if he did that on purpose or not. I'm pretty sure he didn't. But yes, if you are typing in chat, it seems like it's not here for today. All good though. We'll fix that on the next stream on Thursday. I'll get the S&P. So we have all 4 indexes in regard to futures here. Hard to see the S&P chart here, in the upper left. We get the NASDAQ in the upper right, Dow Jones lower left, Russell 2000 in the bottom right. And right now as we speak, S&P futures down 0.50%, about 0.5%. NASDAQ, same thing. Literally Dow Jones as well, 0.54%. get the Russell 2000 down about 0.64%. But you can see, even though markets are kind of down, they're not really, dropping down with some consistency. We've been dropping down, but, we've been having some rallies right back up. Okay, so one of the key levels that we were talking about in the NASDAQ and the S&P has been this November low. Okay, if I kind of open up this screen here, actually, let me go out to the gray space here, the gray chart, the gray space, the gray chart here. So I'll put the S&P here, and weekly on the left, okay, and I got daily here on the right. So I'll get to the current price closer right now, but I just want to emphasize a bit of the higher timeframes. And I had mentioned them, I think, even on YouTube last week, and certainly with the group in the live trade room where we trade multiple days for the week. But we were talking about this November low, okay, at the 65.25. You'll notice in a moment as well when I go over to the SPY and the SPX and et cetera, the NASDAQ as well, which you want to cover the NASDAQ futures in a moment. We were focusing heavily, okay, at and below this November low. So, long story short, as we kind of swiped below there, we did hit this on last Friday, okay? And then futures overnight, they did swipe down a bit even lower, and we had this daily low right below this November low, okay? And we also had a weekly low below this daily low, and this was all inside of an impulse, basing impulse. So one of the members at Phantoms asked a great question at the perfect time, essentially, if there's such thing, about how demand supply kind of works below, say, October low that comes in, and has it been tested? And it's like, yes, we did. So it created a November low, and if we go deeper in, we are getting and penetrating in deeper into this impulse, basing impulse, which is the breakout segment here. Okay, so long story short, we planned to trade, and it worked out pretty well. And again, emphasizing the monthly, weekly, and daily lows, and that November low was so key there. And there's only really two lows below there inside of this impulse, basing impulse, where markets put in a nice bid, of course, and ripped back to the upside. The irony with this as well is that it ripped up to this level here, where we had some prime and fresh levels in the smaller time frames as well, but you'll see above these daily highs into the 67.27 and 67.51, and we did rally up in there as well, and then markets just kind of calmed it down, at least here for today, which is the current candle right here. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is we're still going to be emphasizing, okay, even just yesterday's low, right, which is right here, which is, a blue line already kind of put in place as a place hit ticker right there. So this is going to be emphasized here. Price point comes in at about what, yesterday's low at, if I give you the exact low, 64.8350. All right. So this is something that is going to be, in the event that we break what you're going to see in a moment, the Globex low, this could be the next level of tag, okay, point of level of demand, because there's still a ton of demand down in here where we could potentially have a bullish trade setup. Always emphasizing too, we still have that weekly low at the 64.80. I'm not sure if you can see the font here on this restream, but 64.80 is going to be the weekly low, even below yesterday's low. So I still want to emphasize that as well. Now we do have yesterday's high being here, right? And again, if this document right here, I know I kind of go through it pretty fast or quickly, but all of what I'm doing here is just mapping out what's daily highs above where current price is right now, and daily lows, monthlies as well, and also weeklies. Okay, so that's kind of all there on the checklist there, and that's downloadable for the members at Phantoms. All right, here's of course yesterday's high here. Okay, and we will be emphasizing, if I said that right, emphasizing this daily high here, and if we do break above there, we have a couple of daily highs up here. So this is also going to be areas where, if we rally up here, if we happen to be long or bullish, take some profits. This could be also where we could potentially take a what's called G-trap short or bearish. Okay, now the team already was long over the weekend. If they took those trades that we had planned some really good trades on Friday into the weekend, and worked out very nicely here. So this is what we always say here: if we rally up into supply, make sure we take some profit. And then I'm not sure if anybody took some G-trap shorts or shorts up here, but that worked out very nicely too. And here we are, kind of in the middle here. Okay, now I'm going to drop down. Okay, I'm going to drop down to say a 60-minute time frame here. All right, and let's put this on a daily over here as well. Okay, still just want to emphasize the higher time frames no matter what. Kind of balancing out from yesterday's session, well, from Friday into yesterday being Monday's session, with some high volatility, right? We had some nice big swings Friday into over the weekend, right? Now, the key here is going to be, by the way, there goes those drop basing drops, which is all above this daily highs here, okay, and we had already kind of pre-planned that as well. So if you know IOF, the way to properly do it, Mr. Black is on TikTok virtually and every day. He's very great at talking slower than me, than I, and probably does a lot better job of going, thank God, of going through what is a true prime level of IOF level. So just super exciting just to see always that just work out to a T. And I'm sure folks that are in Phantoms, etc., kind of know what I'm talking about there in terms of the proper levels of demand and supply. Anyways, too early to get excited right now. But this gray space, okay, if you can kind of see that out, it's a little bit of a different color code than this kind of darker background. This is the overnight session. And some of y'all, most of y'all already kind of know that. So this is one of the things that we want to do here in futures. This is the S&P on a 1 hour time frame. I'll just kind of make this a different color code, such as maybe this color. I don't know. I want to make sure you guys and people can see it. I guess that's okay. This is the Globex high, the overnight high right now. This is the Globex low, which is the overnight low. Okay, within that gray space, here we are trading right now, current price. And what we want to do is look for an IOF level of demand below the said Globex low. So if I do look down and left, okay, we do have and what was left off of that November low sweep and the daily and even closer to that weekly low below that monthly low. We have a nice little rally out of here. Okay, so again, I already have some price points on here, right? So the 6525. Okay, and if I look down and left, this is going to be which left an area of demand. Okay, so if we do come back down here again, this is going to be an area where we can have a if we happen to be short, this is where we want to take profit from shorts, at least at a minimum, meaning bearish trades. And then dot. This could be an area where we can have a G trap. It's called the G trap long. All right, which would be bullish. All right, and I want to emphasize anytime I see orange is going to be key. Okay, so that comes in at 6525. I would want y'all to have you write this down and put even a greater emphasis, at least for today, maybe tomorrow, give or take, on the 6480, which is a weekly low below yesterday's low. Okay, so this, in the event that we do make a new lower low tag, okay, this could be where we have what's called fresh liquidity, making a new low, and this is a weekly price point, okay, below the November low, which already got swiped, and yesterday's low. So what do you want to do when prices are at lows, right? At least buy the cover if you are short, right? And then this would be even a better area potentially today, all other things being equal, okay, where we can have a G trap, okay, 6480 there at the price point there. All right, so kind of two nice little hit points there. If we break above said Globex high, which is this line right here, okay, emphasizing, we have this supply level right above here. This could be a bit of an aggressive level, I will say. It's not the greatest in the world, but we can put some emphasis on this as well for potential G trap. All right, and I'll put a note on this kind of with an asterisk, and meaning this is a bit more aggressive. G-trap short bearish. All right, it's a 60-minute supply level here. What comes in about 66, kind of 90-ish, up into the 67.05 price point-ish. I would suggest to now put your stop loss right above that level, as you can just be a liquidity market maker shark bait right there. Okay, now preferably you'd kind of want it to be having above a prior day high. We also do have a little supply level that really hasn't got penetrated up in there. Okay, that comes in at or above yesterday's high at the 67.55. Okay, and in the event that we kind of break these kind of mid levels here and come up here, we also have a couple of daily highs up there, definitely, which would be a better location than any of these here in the middle. Okay, so again, just kind of mapping out some key levels above and below with in the event that we have increased volatility. Okay, above the Globex high and below the Globex low. I'm going to transition over to the NASDAQ futures really quickly here. And if I just take a moment here really quick, I'll just pop open into the weekly, just really briefly. Again, NASDAQ weekly time frame at the moment here, that November low being here. Okay, we had a couple of daily lows inside of that with a weekly low in here as well. Okay, so we had kind of 3 daily levels below that monthly low. We dipped in there. Okay, we rallied out very nicely out of there. So that's great. That left, all right, that you left this now low as yesterday's low. So of course we want to emphasize this as a price point. All right. We also have nice weekly low below even yesterday's low as well. All right. But we have another daily low below yesterday's low as well at 23,726. That weekly comes in at 23, call it 683. Okay. Now prices all the way up here. We're going to get all the way down here. Who knows? Okay. But you get to prepare that. Right. On Friday, it seemed like it was not going to fill all these orders. Okay. But then late Friday came down and hit it. Okay. So we had that prepared in the event that it happened, and it did happen. So everything's about preparation, right? So new liquidity would be below yesterday's low. Now we also have yesterday's high being here. All right, we're going to map out a Globex high, Globex low in a moment. Last week's high up here, ton of weekly highs on the NASDAQ up in this area here. So, NASDAQ is put in the range. These markets have been in a said range for quite some time now. So just be careful when it's kind of trading back in the middle here. You can see wicks here, wicks down, wicks up, wicks down. You'll see in the daily time frame. So this is kind of the upper range here, if you will, that's been being used for the past couple of weeks. This is a weekly time frame, and then this is still kind of the lower range down in here, at least right now. All right. If I drop down to, I'll put a daily over here. Looking at the time, kind of press forward a little bit. All right, got a daily here. That's the current price at the moment. Yesterday's high emphasis right above these daily highs as well. Always talking about that. If we are going to break above what would be the Globex high here in this kind of little gray space here, or darker blue, or whatever you want to call it. There's the Globex high. Here's the Globex low. Kind of a tight range. All right. If we break the Globex high, I'd want to be careful with this level of the NASDAQ. You might want to see if we can get above prior day's high here. We still have this drop, this basing, and this drop right here, prime level, and this would be a nice area which is already prepared there for a nice G-trap short. Okay, if we happen to be long up here, we want to take some profits. Okay, as the team I'm sure was doing as we got long down in here on the NASDAQ and or the S&P, mainly on the S&P. Okay, as we rallied up, beautiful TPs yesterday. Those options exploded. So hopefully y'all had a good start to the week. If any Phantoms members are hearing me out there and they took that trade, awesome trade. Still in it, by the way, but we'll talk about that. So great location here. And again, now everything down here essentially is going to be, some demand. All right. So, if you just look down in this area here, 23,000, anything below kind of 23,950, want to pick off your levels, just, emphasize those daily lows, as opposed to just like a small time frame, 60-minute level of demand. All right. But where the market really just took off. Okay. That price point comes in, where let's say 23,904. And again, I got that November low still there, which is going to be an emphasis on that there. Okay. So Globex traps below, Globex traps above. If short coming down in here, you want to TP from shorts or bearish trades. Dot. And this could also be G trap long. We can potentially pick up, at least for our day trade balance, at least at a minimum, a bullish trade. All right, below yesterday's low would be even better, as that could potentially give us some new, fresher prime liquidity here at this weekly low. Okay, so I'll emphasize this, kind of make that, you can't see that color, but I'll make it, I guess, a bigger font here, as this one be a better location inside of that weekly. Okay, the weekly low 23,638. It's 23,638. 23,638. All right, the weekly low below yesterday's low. Okay, that would be a better location there. All right, and when you see range like this, and markets really, markets are overall still kind of somewhat rangy, slight down, albeit, right? But we've been getting, you have to be careful, because you get these big, 1 to maybe 2% moves up, and then you get these, 1 to 2% moves down. So even though we're not really moving overall, we're still kind of grinding. We are getting some nice moves. Okay, if you look at the NASDAQ over the past several weeks, okay, it's been swiping lower, higher, lower, higher, lower, higher. So it's been very difficult to kind of hold on to a swing trade, if you will, for multiple weeks. Okay, this is kind of a market where you get these 1 to 2 to 3, probably maximum day, right? So just know where you are location wise, as opposed to comparing it to something like a market that back like late last year, more of a nice trending index market, as opposed to now we're a bit more range bound so far for Q1 of this year. Okay, moving on. I'm just gonna keep it moving. I'm gonna go over to the VIX next. Super important. So I'm gonna switch this back over to the weekly. And we got sub 15 minutes before market opens here. So a couple other things, of course, I want to cover. Never enough time to cover everything that I want in my brain. I think that's impossible. VIX. Volatility, important. VIX 30-day implied vol of the SPX. A lot more to this. However, what you need to understand about VIX or volatility is if the VIX is up or if it's going up, it's going to be more bearish for the market in most cases. All right, opposite correlations, right? Negative correlations. So VIX up, market down. VIX down, market up. Okay, again, opposite. So what we do with that information as well, and by the way, there's a lot more to that, but for time's sake, we'll keep that and we'll keep that there. And just like we mapped out overnight high, overnight low in the S&Ps and NASDAQ, or even if you're looking at gold, by the way, triggered in some bullish gold at the 42.50, which I'll get to that price, that chart in a moment. And also working on some GLD. Definitely want to have a discussion with the team on that, potentially tomorrow in the live trade room. We have a little bit more time. But as I'm kind of speaking in the backdrop here, what I'm pinning here is the overnight high, overnight low in VIX. And we just mapped out the overnight high and overnight low in the S&Ps and NASDAQ. And if the VIX continues, right now it's up above about 4.44%. And, you know, I mean, I guess that's something, right? But if we continue to go up, right, we got a 27 paint VIX right now. And, you know, usually if we're below like 30, below 35, you know, that's still not extreme, if you will. But, you know, we're not we're off lows from, they say, the extreme lows of like, say, 15 to 17, give or take. Okay, so we're painting a 27 VIX. So, of course, there's some elevated kind of, you know, risk out there, right? Now, if this volatility index or VIX continues to kind of trend higher, okay, this morning, well, that can be more bearish for the market, okay? Not just like a spike and it kind of grinds lower. If it continues to trend with a nice solid trend, that can be more bearish. If we break the overnight low, it kind of trend a bit lower, okay? Not just a spike low, but it's actually giving some trend lower. That could be a bit more bullish, okay, for the market, okay? You know, we'll see how that unravels intraday. So you want to keep a pin on that. Look at this on the higher time frames, of course. We're also going to be looking at this on the higher time frames. So super on the smaller time frames. So super important on that. I'm going to jump over, okay, to kind of bunny hop over into, well, let me show you the gold real quick, because I don't want to get too far behind here. But I'm working on a bigger position in gold. Okay, here's gold futures, and you get just a monthly time frame here on the left, a weekly here in the middle. I got a daily time frame on the right. Okay, I ended up getting long gold futures, and I didn't even put a stop loss on this, which was kind of crazy. It swiped 100 points below. Okay, I'm still in this trade because I wanted this 42.50 weekly. There's actually 2 weekly demand levels right below here, and I was emphasizing these monthly lows here. Okay, so I'm working on a bullish, bigger kind of macro swing trade down into these areas here on gold, right? So, you know, I think before the weekend last week, I was talking to the group. We had a discussion on this, you know, 42.50. This was it swiped a lot lower below that. So I'm not sure how anybody put their stop loss. You might have got stopped out on a swipe potentially. Okay. But I'm still going to be working on this. This is now yesterday's low. We have yesterday's high here. Okay. So if I do drop down just to say 60-minute time frame, just really quickly on this, and I wish I had more time, but tomorrow for sure inside of the trade room with the group, I'm going to be emphasizing this this gold chart with GLD a lot. Okay, now we have yesterday's. I'm sorry, we have yesterday's low here. So I want to emphasize that this is the Globex low here. Okay, so I'm still going to be looking at potentially, even if you're not in this trade, you could potentially take a G trap 42.50, which did leave a level of demand below what is the Globex low here today. Okay, in the event that we do make a new lower low here, okay, you might want to look for or take advantage of this new lower low liquidity below this 4,100. Okay, and find a little more time, you know, just drop down below this daily low and map out a prime level of IOF demand down in here. Okay, now if you are shorting gold or if you are hypothetically short potentially, right, because you know it's been coming down very aggressively here. You know, just be careful as we are making these new lows. So you might want to be taking some profit in the event that we do break the Globex low into these levels of demand here. If you did want to be bearish or short on this, here's the Globex high. So you want to be referencing some supply levels up here. I think we even have one kind of like mapped up here, give or take, and never even really got up to that level here. But the yesterday's high is going to be here, and we do have a couple of supply levels. If I just copy and paste this red box here. All right, this is yesterday's high. All right, I could just make a note of that here real quick. This is yesterday's high. Why are you so quiet? Nobody's talking. Chat's off. I don't know why. We set this up. We put the toggle chat on, but that'll be fixed by Thursday. We should be good. All right. Yesterday's high. Supply above yesterday's high. We have a couple levels up here, team. All right, 4,575. And even another one right here as well. 46. Call it 65. All right. And that could be interesting today. The better one would be, I'd say, this one, just because it's a bit higher up, and this level was created during the regular trading session. So this one would be a bit better for a what's called G-trap short, more bearish. All right. I'll be above Globex high, above yesterday's high. Level right there, don't get me wrong, pit stop potentially, right? That was developed kind of during the overnight session, but this is a regular trading session here. So I got the emphasis on the 4,660 price point handle. I'll give you a take on there. All right, watch out. We're going to get those monthly, and we'll get another massive weekly level of demand below here as well, team, okay? So if you are a Phantom member, we're going to have a chat about that a bit more as I'm going to show you how I'm kind of building in to a position. All right, I'm going to go over into the SPY. Why? It's a powerful market, ETF of the S&P. If you're new here, if you go to this website here, as I just take a sip of water and transition over to the SPYs and Gamma. If you are new here, you have no idea what I'm talking about, and you are maybe potentially interested, this would be the site that you would go to, TradePhantoms.com, here on that registered bar there. And this is how everybody starts here at Phantoms. I'll come back to that in a moment as well, just showing you where you could potentially find that information as I transition to the SPY. And one of the things I want to do here, these are all the notes from, I don't want to delete these. These are all kind of planned trades. This was the planned trade that we did. So I want to keep those notes there for a debrief for the team tomorrow when we're in the live trade room. We have a bit more time. But for right now, today's a new day now here today. So just to get a weekly time frame on the left. I know it's kind of noisy here. Daily time frame here on the right. Right now, as we speak, okay, we have a pre-market quote on the SPY. If you can kind of see that, okay, at 651.42. So we're down slightly, 0.63%. One thing to note here is this is going to be what's called an outside gap down, okay, an outside gap down. So if you're still kind of holding on to these long or bullish trades that we got into late Friday here for a nice bounce up here, they might be giving back a little bit of some profits. We'll see, and I'll show you all that too. I got these open positions on some here as well. I'm hoping the team went on a nice profit take, especially on the ones that we had for Monday's expiration. Okay, we went Monday's expiration, we went Wednesday's expiration. We even have Friday's expiration here. Okay, so these options went very well. We got these options at like $3.70, and yesterday they were as high as $8.33, and that's still Friday's expiration. Okay, so I'm still in Friday's expiration and also Wednesday's expiration. The Monday's expiration, which expired yesterday, of course, we bought these for $2. Okay, they were selling as high as $6.85. So roughly, very nicely done on those. Of course, all out of those because that option expired already. This was the second scale in order that we had. This is Wednesday's expiration. You can still see still in this second scale in. Bought these for $3, 20 cents, give or take, something like that. Okay, and these going up as high as $7.50. So nice trade there. The team, I'm sure, had a fabulous time, reducing and taking some profits, I'm hoping. Okay, now I bring all that up. Okay, now it's going to be gapping down here. Okay, so they're going to be giving back a little bit of some there on on that, at least on the open today. If we continue lower, this is what I'm saying. I'm hoping that, you guys and girls, traders, took some profit on that. Now, moving on with this gap down here, what, 0.63%? It is outside. Okay, so outside gap from yesterday's high and yesterday's low, and that's noteworthy. And I also want to just draw the parallels to where the SPX could potentially be roughly opening, give or take. There's multiple ways that we can get a quote here, but just using the measuring tool, SPX 65, call it 40, give or take. Okay, 6540. And I'm going to go over into this tool here that we use called the options depth. And this is a bit advanced here, but I will say this is going to give us the market maker gamma exposure and charm and other Greeks as well. We mainly focus on gamma and I'd say charm, but the group also, some phantom members know about even the secondary Greeks as well. But this is an advanced topic. You got to kind of know options, but I'll try to keep it as simple as possible. Calls in green, puts in red on this middle axis here. Everything to the right of it is bought options. To the left of this axis, middle axis here, is going to be sold options. I just destroyed that, so I'll refresh that. And what happens here is positive gamma, which is going to be to the right, is going to create demand and supply. Okay, and that's going to be illustrated on this left kind of chart here as a heat map with green and blue kind of color codes or nodes. Negative gamma is going to be to the left. Everything that is sold here, that's going to create negative gamma, which is going to create more, usually you're going to have more volatility, right? So there's a whole class that we do on this. Okay, we go through gamma regimes, positive, negative, and even what's called zero gamma. The skinny on this is positive gamma is a bit more stable, okay, as market makers are buying into highs, selling into highs, okay, and buying into lows. Negative gamma is going to be opposite of that, okay, where you have a bigger and higher volatility, bigger moves, okay, as market makers are buying and chasing price lower, okay, taking liquidity away, or so buying, chasing price higher if it's going up, taking liquidity away, or if the market's going down, they're selling into that, selling into that at market, kind of chasing that price, okay, kind of exacerbating those moves and being used as an accelerant. Okay, a lot of big words there, but again, there's a whole class on that, and definitely you'd have to watch that, I'm sure, multiple times. But what I'm looking for is positive or negative gamma above and below. So key thing, 6540 is we're going to be opening up roughly. Okay, so I'm going to zoom in a bit closer on this and give you a couple of key takeaways, at least off the open here. Number one, if we're opening up at around 6540, one of the things that I'm noticing here this morning, okay, team, is we are opening up right below us, is we do have a bit of a pretty decent outlier here at 6525. This is a bought put wall from the market maker gamma exposure. And as you can see over here to the left, it is creating kind of a bit of a little inside of here, a bit of a green and a blue color code there. And as prices are coming down into this level, this could just be used, okay, as some short-term demand as prices could potentially move down into this level, okay? So I'm going to pin, in short, I say all that to say this. I'm going to put one line here, 6525 on SPX. I'm going to make that line green. Why? Because it's a positive gamma node below, or what would be below price. So if we opening up about 6540, okay, this positive gamma node right there, which sticks out a little bit here, more than as an outlier than others, 6525. That's the price point, right? So 6525 is about right there, okay? And I put that as a green line, and that is going to be reminding us that could be creating some demand as market makers have to buy, okay, to hedge their books coming into this level. All right, 5 minutes before open, I'll see what's above, but there is another one here, 6480. Looks like there's a spread here. All right, I would also emphasize this 6480 as well. And so before I move on, you just put that right there. And this would be a lot better, as this is going to be closer to yesterday's low and all of that higher time frame area and location down here as well. All right, so kind of 2 hit points. Now this does, you want to check it out in the morning, all right, but it does change as the kind of day opens and unravels. So you don't want to get too crazy with it as a preparation in the morning. Great, okay, but it could always just change, right? So above price, just real quick, let me just check above. And 6540 above price, team. We really don't have, but I mean, we got this 6550 but we are kind of opening up at around there already. So above price, we really don't have much positive gamma. So if this positive gamma below us holds, all other things being equal here, if we do rally up, there's really not a positive gamma node much above team. So if we start to go up, okay, that could kind of it could work on itself there if we start to go up. All right, so interesting here. In short, I don't really see a lot of positive gamma here. So we'll see. All right, gapping down. So we have a lot of things though. As we gap down, you'll see, Friday's low here. We have a gap fill here. Okay, we have the 6,600 here on the SPX. Could also be used as just a price point there to see how if SPX were claims above or below 6,600. All right, let me go over the Qs real quick. QQQs. And again, if you're in the thing trying to chat there, it's off for some reason. So I'm assuming you guys girls can hear me. Just talking to myself. I'm used to that though. Qs, gap down. Key thing, right off the open in the event we do rally up. Okay, could be a retest to prior day's low. All right, that's something that you want to put in a pin on. And then we got the what would be the gap fill here as well. All right, let me see. Apple, get through as much Magnificent 7 stocks as I can here. Mainly trade the Mag 7 with options because they're most liquid and there's no wide bid-ask spread. It's just better for business. Apple, just a weekly time frame on the left, across the board. We're daily on the right. Outside gap on Apple. So that's going to be noteworthy there. A lot of these FANG stocks have been kind of rangy here, so it's going to be that across the board. So you got to really pick your Mag 7 tickers properly within this range. Amazon, last couple of weeks, it's in the news at the moment right now. I think something a little crazy happened with it. But we have a bunch of wicks here from a couple of weeks ago over here. Wick here, and this is going to be what's interesting about this is a lot of movement here on this. We had a outside gap here, okay, almost a mortgage gap here from yesterday's session, and then now we have a topping tail here, and then this is creating a island gap, okay, on Amazon. So Amazon actually has one of the more aggressive gap downs here today that I've been noticing here. All right, now just because we're doing that as an outside gap, okay, the pre-market quote is 207 here, close there, so we're going to be opening here. Doesn't mean that we're going to just crush down here, okay, but out of all of the other Mag 7s, this one is a little bit more aggressive to the downside. So we'll see how the price action opens up intraday. As always, we want to make sure that the intraday tape, the price action is going to also align with what we're doing here, but also just emphasize we could be retesting yesterday's low in the event that we come up here, okay, for a potential short. Okay, so we'll see about that. AVGO, there it is, it's open, and I'm just going to switch over to the 2 now, and the daily. And let me just check, said Amazon. Tesla. Tesla's been interesting. Pro gap up off this level of demand that I've been looking at on Tesla for a little while. I don't know if anybody caught Tesla yesterday. It was a beautiful trade. We got Microsoft wide range bar lower. Let me see. Where are lows on this? It's been in this location area here. So we got Tesla. I'm liking the way Tesla's looking here. Still inside there, but it's going to be that way. See, so for some bullish exposure, Tesla and AVGO giving us some decent stuff here. Ticker AVGO as well. 200. All right. So Tesla long call, AVGO, also setting up there. So Tesla AVGO team looking fairly decent. Come on, all right, Tesla trading 380. Come on, man. Why is this thing frozen? Restring, man. All right, I'm just gonna prepare over here. Kind of annoying. Tesla long call. I'll just do tomorrow's expiration. We're trading 380, so I may pick up like a 385. Yeah, maybe do a 387 strike, that is. All right, I'll do the 385 here. Long call, Tessie, bullish. Probably would have got a better premium on this already if Dickerson wasn't so annoying at the moment. Still holding those options over the weekend, folks, that we have put. All right, team. All right, Tesla long call. Let me grab this in my other account here. Already got Tesla here. And what's this? 385 long call. All right, long call, Tesla bullish. 385 strike, right? All right, blues are buys. And, we'll see if we could try to get into potentially yesterday's high here for some TPs. Okay, team? And if you ever went to Phantoms, you know who this guy named Towel is. So don't forget to bring a towel. Don't forget to bring a towel. TP some on Tesla. Talking to myself. It's all good. TP some Tesla. All right. Make sure you take some off here. Not bad. Decent little fall through there. All right, taking some off with Tesla here. Oh, wow, that was nice. TP some Tesla. All right, those are all TPs, team. Oh, wow, that was easy. No, calm down. Nice fall through. Doesn't always happen like that. AVGO did not do its thing. Let's see what else. There goes Amazon bearishness. All right. That would be Microsoft. It was also the one that I was kind of looking at for some bearishness as well, and that's already falling through lower. Am I tripping? Where's Microsoft here? Apple. The Mag 7's just all over the place. You got like Apple, Tesla up, everything else down. Apple just did a nice little yesterday's little sweep here. I'm not in this one, but it's a little bit bullish there. All right, Tesla's making a punched for a new high. Microsoft was decent there for a bearish exposure. All right, Tesla's making a new high. We got a TP some team. All right. Take some more off of Tesla, I would suggest. All right, nice little move here. All right, yesterday's high is coming in here, team, okay? So that's kind of my target area there on Tesla. Nice and smooth. Amazon. In the abyss. Let me see. Amazon, I'm gonna queue a put here, but you could kind of rally up here. But we have the first move initial here. Let's see if we can try to get a little correction here to VWAP for that. But you can get in right now, but it might be a little aggressive. Microsoft is having beautiful fall through the lower, I will say. Microsoft. This is Amazon. If I were to queue kind of this 205, if you want to get in this now, I mean, it's only $1.20. This could pull back on you here. This would be bearish. This would be the 205 strike put if I were to copy this code here and go over and paste it into kind of a premium chart here or a regular chart so you can see the premium. You might be able to get these for like maybe 95 cents or $90 if we can pull back in here. All right, but I'm going to grab some here. I need some bullish exposure here. All right. This Q's kind of breaking down here. All right, so this is Amazon put. This is the 205 strike put. Grab this over here. You could potentially put a limit order in here for about $1 on this. I'm in these right now, but now I am. You could even potentially put in a pullback order for to add. Oops. All right, so this is long put, which is bearish. Even though we bought it, we buy a put, it's bearish. All right, and in the event that we pull back, you could potentially put in a limit order there. All right, to add, limit add. You could even micro scalp that right now if you'd like. All right, so Amazon. Yeah, let me let go a little something here because usually I like to be in a little bit earlier. Let's scale out a little something here in Amazon. Nothing crazy. Just controlling risk. Q's kind of breaking down. Kind of missing that first initial move there. Nothing crazy there at all by any means here. small little TP. All right, bearish. Bot put. What strike? 205, right? So I got in a little late there. Quick little scalp TP. And then get the limit orders in there for $1. All right. All right. Q's made a nice little follow through. It's a bit weaker than the S&Ps at the moment. Tesla VWAP tag. I don't even check internals. I might even be looking at, I might be just pinning the 5, maybe like the 581-ish put. If we can kind of, I missed the first initial breakdown move here. Green bar takeout here. Take a quick peek at internals. VIX is up. Let's see how that continues. Advanced declines, a lot of gap downs, but it's kind of an extreme lower there. Baldy. SPY. So SPYs are just a bit strong. S&Ps are just a little bit stronger than the NASDAQ. And so let me refresh this gamma because I remember the SPX had a bit of positive gamma right below us there, right? So I kind of want to zoom in and take a peek. 65.25, right? That's what it is. And it kind of decreased a little bit there, but it's still somewhat there. All right, team. So the VIX is not really exploding, y'all. So you can see the SPX already kind of dipped into that. All right, so for S&Ps, I'm going to be a bit cautious with the bearishness on S&Ps, and we'll see any front side in on this. But if we reclaim VWAP here with some authority, you could potentially be looking for what's called a backside long here. Now, on NASDAQ, say QQQs, if you will, this could be an area here. We're actually inside this red bar right now. This could be an aggressive short. If you got into the first move here, nice. I missed that, but now it's giving us an opportunity to potentially, because we might not change trend, right? But NASDAQ, I'm going to pin the 581 here, or at least maybe 581, 582 strike put on NASDAQ QQQs. Tesla new high TP. P&L on Tesla just went doink. Don't forget to bring a towel. TP Tesla. Nice. Very nice. Tesla Ripper. Let me grab these Q puts real quick here. This is going to be what I said. Like the 582s, 30 delta here. You pick up the 582. You maybe even pick up the 581. All right, right click. This is the today's 0 DTE. All right, bot put NASDAQ. Hitting it right now. Tesla, nice ripper. Amazon also filled. No, it didn't. No, it didn't. No, it didn't. I thought one of those clicks was Amazon. It was Tesla. All right, let me grab this on QQQ's, my other account here. This is a bot put bearish, okay? QQQ's into VWAP. He's already going here. See ya. See ya. This is bot put bearish. Straight. All right, depending on your fill there, you can already maybe potentially TP some. For a little scalpy scalp. We got VIX on an uptick. All right, we'll let go of some here. All right. You TP some Qs already if you hit that. Nice. Rip. All right, let's take some profit, right? Why is everybody so quiet? Nobody's talking to me. Nobody wants to be my fucking friend. Why? Nobody wants to be my friend. Just in the corner alone. Nobody wants to be my friend. I'm not cool, bro. Totally TP some tallies on some Qs. TP some more Qs. Equal to low here. I'm happy Tesla hit the yesterday's high tag. So TP totally. No friends. Damn it. Should let go some more Amazon. Amazon's kind of being a little annoying, I will say. All right, if we make equal to it, we already made it equal to low, that's why we're taking some profit here, and another round of TP on Qs if and when we can get a new low here. All right. All right, so for kind of first initial move here, impulse kind of correction, and we're on what could be or is the potential new impulse, new lower low here. All right, get some TPs ready here. Do it now. Whoa. All right, getting weird. That was a TP more Qs, if I can speak. Barely. I mean, no English. I speak two languages, bullish or bearish. Two colors, green or red. All right, getting weird. Good to end the session. I'm hoping if you caught the Tesla trade, you guys distributed very nicely there. All right, that's Amazon, I think. Yes. All right, Amazon did fill, had its VWAP there for what it's worth. All right. I don't really like how it's, well, I mean, it's still okay, but remember, the SPX has that gamma node. We haven't made a new low off of that. That's why I'm kind of even took profits pretty aggressively on Qs a bit there. Still short, bearish on the QQQs in the form of a bot put. All right, now this did fill. This is not looking too good here, team. All right, but you know, if this thing really starts to close here back above VWAP, you know, you might have to get out of that Amazon. All right, still good that we just filled these as $1. All right, low risk. The annoying thing about this trade is this is the first initial move here. So this is the impulsion here. So, you know, stop loss. I mean, you want to structure or change if we get if we rally up. So you almost have to not have this thing come all the way up here. So that's going to be the risk. It's going to be the risk. So you wanted to kind of put in some kind of pivot at least here. Try to make an attempt. Try to make an attempt here for you know, impulsion move here. Here's the correction. For what would be a potential, you know, equal to or new, you know, lower low. All right, let's look at the options fairly cheap. All right, they're going for about 99 cents. I'm going for like $1. If you still had them at $1.25 or $1.15, whatever you kind of got up here, you know, TP it a little bit there, nothing crazy at all, and then re-limited and added as this got filled there. All right. So because we entered on the pullback, you know, we got a nice little decent better price point, so we can give that some so, you know, some time and space there. You know, if we kind of drop back down here, go on a bit of a TP. All right, Tesla, I would suggest to if you're still in it, right? Because you hit the ultimate target there, so you know, if you still got some on, maybe you drop down into some runners. All right, but it's kind of depending on what your average fill was or what your fill is. It's flirting. Let me see mine over here. It's flirting with, you know, about break even, maybe slightly up, maybe slightly down, depending on your fill. All right, and Qs. Oh, this is the Amazon. So we should just have some TPs laid out here. I would suggest on Amazon if we get that. Tesla. Let's make a note here. Size dropped / you know, break even. Size dropped. Drooped. Damn, I can't spell for shit. Thank God I know how to trade. Or I'd be a loser. Size drop. And you know, kind of flirting with break even. And I don't know. It's kind of a weird situationship right now because of just the overall markets in general. You want to see this reclaim back on VWAP for the longs to continue. Microsoft did have a nice move lower. Watch out for the SPX. You know, that gamma node is there. It's not super intense. But for right now, SPX holding that bid. For right now, SPX is holding that bid so far. Don't forget about the 64.85 below here. SPX. You can see 6.5. Before I click over to the chart, this would be the time right now to snag in, to add if you want into the NASDAQ. All right. You know, VIX not really on highs here, but this is roughly about at or around the same price that you kind of got into it. Now, if this fails, then VWAP, if we reclaim VWAP back to the upside, these NASDAQ shorts would have to get cut. All right, and I want to see S&P 500, the NASDAQ, the S&P, the SPX, SPY kind of reclaim VWAP, its daily VWAP to the upside, back to the upside. All right, so I didn't pull the trigger on any longs on the S&P. All right, just added here into some more QQQ's bearishness here. All right, but check VIX. It's still early for the change, but it could happen. All right, and you kind of see VIX hasn't really done anything. It's only been 30 minutes, albeit. All right, so start to queue up maybe some SPYs, some ES, bullish, SPX. I'd be a little careful trading SPX because Monday's movement, yesterday's movement was, I guess it was okay. But volatility is just dropping. All right, we'll see. So that Q will be a thumb. So we are below the Globex low. Watch out for the S&P futures if we start to get a close above this. What are we on? A 1 hour time frame right now? Back above VWAP right here. All right, and you can see the Qs, right? Kind of snapping above its VWAP at the moment. All right, team. Here we go. If you're still in Tesla, you got a nice rip up. VIX down. This is all kind of opening days range here. The first 2-minute bar is like literally a doji. Still holding. Still got these on. I'm hoping y'all took some nice profits on these. These are the swing trades from last Friday. All right. All right, so the Qs, it's on alert at the moment. Want to be a bit more patient with it, but it's on alert at the moment. for what could be a cut. All right, we start to hold above this VWAP a lot stronger here, okay, then, you know, we have to cut that. All right, so we got a wick coming. We got a wick back down so far on it. So I like that candle that just got put in because at least we can get some, you know, give me a line, right? Give me a line in the sand here for cuts. Right. So right now we're on VWAP. We'll see. So if we continue to close above here, start to take this out here. All right, it could be a bit of a change of structure here. All right, Tesla, if you are still in it, I'm going to take advantage of this. You know, I didn't cut this really. I didn't cut this at the pullback area here, but I am going to TP some more, take some more profit off on Tesla if you're still in that. Amazon looking kind of weird. That's kind of similar to the Qs. I'm down to like 2 contracts on Tesla, looks like. That's it. And, you know, we'll see. Kind of annoying. On Amazon. So again, this is the impulsion move. This is still a basing here, so we just have to be patient with this. All right, I like that wick put in. Okay, so if we don't get this drop and we start to mess around here and we start to take this back out now, all right, this is not bad here. Stop out placement. All right, that's kind of what I wanted to leave y'all with is, you know, I don't like to, you know, I care about the folks, I care about the Phantoms members. I care, you know, even online. If I'm trading live, you know, I care about the people. So I want to give y'all some kind of plan there. And so, you know, if we start to reclaim this wick here and we're holding above VWAP, etc., you know, it's cut. All right. That's kind of the same thing with NASDAQ as well. All right. And if that's the case, you know, I don't know, but if that is the case and that's happening, like if that's not an illusion, but an actual thing that's happening, again, cue up the S&Ps, okay, that 30-minute bar right here. If we start to get, even the next 30 minutes, we have 25 minutes still for that bar, but if we start to get above this here, this is a 30-minute doji bar on the 30-minute, okay, and if we start to get above here, which we already starting to hold above VWAP on the S&Ps here pretty decently, all right, yeah, there'll be some long there. All right, you got VIX on lows. All right, so you could potentially queue up SPY, call it a 654, give or take. It's only 2 points out of the money here. Yesterday's low. There's a retest tag here. I'll be going to be patient with that a bit there. All right, if you want to learn more about this, I guess, and I got to take a piss. Hopefully, I don't even know if anybody can hear me. But TradePhantoms.com here, click on register. And if you kind of want to check it out, great. Today is Tuesday, but on Thursday, March 26th, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, get your name, email there, phone number. You'll be hosted by the Mr. Black or the Mr. Green, and they'll, you know, spend about 90 minutes, give or take, and kind of walk you through kind of how markets just work in general. All right. All 3 of us there are professional traders, right? It's not just stocks, futures, forex, options, even crypto, all asset classes. If you're just starting out, small account, just trading for some income there, okay, all the way to we have folks that are in the trade room and with Phantoms that are in the point of just wealth management, all right, managing a little bit of their more longer term wealth. So if you're just starting out, all the way to wealth management, it's kind of a one-stop shop for kind of everything trading. I'm a maniac. I trade everything. I don't care what it is. So yeah, you'll see that. But if you like it, check it out. Great. We're not a fit for everybody, and everybody's not for us, and we're not for everybody as well. So if you like it, great. If not, cool. Shake your hand, and we'll move on, and we'll continue to do what we need to do here to train people that are serious about this business. I will say, if you know, more on the serious side here. This is no joke, no BS, and that's the place to go. I'll see some of y'all later, Phantoms, and trade safe. Watch out for this trend change. Look what's happening right now as we speak. All right, so prepare that. For now, I'm out. Mr. Blue, God bless. Take care.